Let's make something delicious. Now for these brown butter chocolate chip cookies, you need to start by browning the butter, of course. And let me tell you how to do that in case you've never done it. You want to start with a very light colored pan. I am using stainless steel. You want to start on a medium heat with 1.5 sticks of unsalted butter, which is also 3/4 of a cup. While it's on medium heat, you want to melt the butter. You do not have to stir it at all times at this point. Once it is melted and starts to get foamy and starts to sizzle, then you will lower your heat to medium-low because you do not want to burn this because it will burn very easy. And you want to stir it constantly at this point because, again, I say it will go from brown deliciousness to burnt bitterness very quickly. At this point, it will start to sizzle and crackle a lot. Now mine isn't doing that much. If you look in the pan, mine is extremely golden in color. That is because I am using a European style butter. If you are using a European style butter, such as Kerrygold or something like that, it has a higher butter fat content and less water. The sizzling is the water content leaving your butter. If you use a European style butter, it will brown much quicker because there is less water content and you will get more of a brown butter flavor. At some point, your butter will stop sizzling so loudly and it will start to get quieter and quieter. And as you are stirring it, you will notice there being more bubbles forming on top, more see-through type bubbles. And if you start raking back then while you're stirring, you will start to see little brown bits starting to form on the bottom of your pan. This is why you want a stainless steel skillet instead of a non-stick, because with a non-stick you cannot see, because it is dark, you cannot see the browning and you may burn it before you know it. At this point you will start smelling an amazing smell. I mean, brown butter smells like nothing you've ever smelled. I mean, brown butter smells like toffee and caramel and all the wonderful things in life. Oh gosh, I'm so excited about these cookies. When it gets to this beautiful, beautiful brown color, a little above golden, but not yet mahogany, and you start to smell this amazing smell, you want to take it off the heat immediately. And do not leave it in that pan because it will continue to brown until it burns from the heat of the pan. You want to remove it immediately and place it in your bowl. And when it's in your bowl, you want it to cool to room temperature. Because if it stays hot, it will melt your sugars and then you will end up with greasy, flat cookies instead of beautiful, luscious cookies with crispy edges and a soft, chewy center, which is what these are going to be. Now our brown butter is fully cooled. Look at this. Doesn't that look amazing? I mean, this whole kitchen smells amazing. Now that your butter is browned and cooled, now we are going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. And we are going to add a full cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. Now the fact that there is more light brown sugar than granulated sugar is what's going to help make them nice and chewy. And if you're anything like me, you prefer a cookie that is perfectly balanced. You want it nice and crisp on the outside, around the edges, and you want it nice and chewy and delicious in the middle. And you are starting to see, I hope you can see it, there are all kinds of little brown flakes in there. That's from your brown butter. I can't wait to eat these. These are going to be phenomenal. Now to this, we are going to add 2 eggs at room temperature. And yes, mine are blue and extremely dark brown because they come from here on our homestead. There's 1 egg going in and 2 eggs going in. Now, if I don't mention this, all the eggs that I use in baked goods are going to be large eggs. Now, because they come fresh from our chickens, you can't always guarantee that they're going to be large. We have some chickens that lay extra large eggs and some that lay medium eggs. I weigh them first to make sure that they weigh what they need to weigh to be large eggs. Because if you try to use extra large or jumbo in a recipe like this, it may mess up your recipe, and you don't want that. Now we are going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. If you've been watching me for long, you've already learned that I never measure vanilla. So it's roughly measured 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I use the pure stuff. You can use whatever cranks your tractor, but I choose to use the pure stuff. Now you're going to mix that in thoroughly. It doesn't matter how much you mix it at this point, because there is no flour in it yet and no gluten to develop. Now for our dry ingredients, I have them on a sheet of wax paper. If you've been watching me for long, you know I do this so that I can easily funnel it into the bowl. And dirty up less dishes. We have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. We have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. We have 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. We have 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And we have 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now this cornstarch is going to add to the chewy factor of the cookie. Adding cornstarch will give a better texture to your cookie and will help keep them nice and chewy and absolutely amazing. So you want to add that cornstarch. Don't skip it. Now we are going to start funneling our dry ingredients in about 3 parts. That way it's not so hard to mix in. And you want to mix in each part until they are just mixed in. Don't overdo it. And constantly scrape the bottom of your bowl. See what I mean? You do not even need a mixer for this. You can use a mixer, but you don't need it. Now we are going to add our second part. And we are going to stir that in, and then I will have some special instructions for the third part. Now we are adding our third part of our dry ingredients. Now you want to stir this in just a tiny bit, but you want to leave some dry on there for our next step. You want it to look about like that, where you're still seeing a lot of dry there. You want that dry to stay on top, because now we are going to add our chocolate chips. And you want those chocolate chips to get coated in a little bit of that flour. It will keep your chocolate chips distributed evenly throughout the cookie instead of sinking to the bottom as they bake. Now, for my chocolate chip cookies, I like a more round flavor. I don't like the uniform flavor of just one type of chocolate. I like 2 types of chocolate in my chocolate chip cookies. So we have 3/4 of a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and we have 3/4 of a cup of milk chocolate chips. As you can see, there is a drastic difference in size in the 2, and that's not usually the case. That depends on this brand that I am using. This brand that I am using is a brand called Guittard, and it's a brand out of San Francisco, California. They are absolutely amazing. If you've ever used Guittard, you know what I mean. Now you want to keep working this until you don't see any more flour in the bottom of your bowl. Now you'll notice your dough is very soft at this point. And I hate to tell you this, but this has to be chilled. You will put this in the refrigerator for just a half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on what you have your refrigerator set at. If your refrigerator is set a little more cold, like I keep mine, then you will only go for about a half an hour. If your refrigerator is set a little bit warmer, it may take about 45 minutes. Either way, you want it to be nice and firm. You want that brown butter to have firmed back up. It's been a half an hour and our cookie dough is firmed up nicely. So now it's nice and scoopable. And here we have a parchment lined half sheet tray. Now you don't have to use a half sheet tray. You can just use a plain old cookie sheet. I can get more on a half sheet tray. That's the reason I use it. And I have a 1½ tablespoon cookie scoop. So I'm going to start scooping this up in good 1.5 tablespoon size balls. Now, you can either choose to roll them in your hand to make them perfectly round, or you can go more rustic like I do and just scoop and place on the cookie sheet. Now, you want to have your oven preheated to 350 degrees. And you want to have your rack set in a certain position. This is so you can bake 2 pans full at a time. Now, if you do not want to bake 2 pans full at a time, then you don't have to worry about this step. You can just set your oven rack in the middle rack and go from there. But I want to bake 2 pans full at the same time. You want to have your bottom rack 1 notch above the lowest level. You want to have your top rack 1 level below your highest level. That is so when you're baking, you will get an even bake. These cookies will bake for between 10 and 12 minutes because you will pull them out when they are not fully cooked. When they are still a little doughy, you will pull them out of the oven and let them finish by the heat of the pan. So they will bake for no more than 10 to 12 minutes till they are starting to get lightly brown and firm up around the edges, but still feel doughy in the middle. So at about 5 minutes or so, you want to rotate. You want to put the top cookie sheet on the bottom and the bottom on the top. That way you get even baking, and I will show you what they look like when they come out of the oven so that you can see what they look like when they're not fully cooked. Okay, these first ones are out of the oven. Mine baked for about 12 to 13 minutes, and I put the top on the bottom and the bottom on the top at about 6 minutes. Now, as you can see, I spaced them nice and far apart. Even though they don't really swell a whole lot, I placed them nice and far apart. That way, it don't become one big cookie blob. I love my cookies not to be one big cookie blob. On a half sheet pan, I can get 8 on there. Now, on a cookie sheet, you may only be able to get 6. Now, you want to let these cool on the pan because they are not fully cooked. They are perfectly crisp and slightly golden brown around the edges. They still feel a little doughy in the middle. You want that because they will finish baking by carryover cook. These pans are still screaming hot, so they will finish cooking by the heat that is in the pan. You want to leave them on the pan until they are cool enough that you can easily pick them up with your bare hands without them breaking and without them burning you. That could take about 5 to 7 minutes, and at that point your pans will be cool enough that you can take your dough out of the refrigerator, because the remaining dough you want to place it in the refrigerator so it stays cold. You can at that point take it out of the refrigerator and your pans will be cool enough that you can put the dough on there and continue baking your cookies. Now these are cooled down. See, I can touch the pan. The pan's still a little warm. I can pick up the cookies easily with my hands without them burning me. And see, they're nice and beautiful golden brown on the bottom. They're nice and set up now. They won't fall apart on you when you pick them up. If you tried to pick them up before, they would fall apart on you. Now I'm going to put these on a wire rack to cool. Now, if you do not have a wire rack, you will have to put them on something else to cool. I highly recommend a cooling rack because it lets the air circulate all around the cookies and lets them get cooled faster without sogging them up. So remember, come back next time to Angela K's Kitchen, where I take you from gourmet to everyday and everything in between. God bless.
Now, there's nothing worse than coming home at lunch and finding these beautiful cookies that you've got to taste all of a sudden because you can't leave them sitting there, right? So it's a tough job. I think I can take care of it. Yeah. Those are amazing. So good. These cookies are just so full of flavor. I mean, obviously you got a delicious chocolate in there, but the cookie itself, really nice. It's just a beautiful tasting cookie on its own without the chocolate chips in it. And Angela K's done an amazing job. She can really cook, y'all.